Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk Too. And it's been a great weekend for most people. Hopefully, everybody's safe, sound, spent time with their families, their loved ones. And tonight, we'll discuss some things. Good evening, Dr. Short.
Yes, this is going to be a short one. This is going to be a quickie, sort of like what the pork chops like, anyway. In and out, on to
How,
another topic.
how was your weekend?
Um, it's okay. Just living.
Dr.
Living.
Short. One of the things, and I know you're not a medical doctor. One of the things that I'm learning is how the body goes through so many changes with this weather.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sort of like what the pork chop goes through with the simp. It's
So
always something.
Tonight, Dr. Short, the topic is Black Girl Tragic.
Black girl tragic. You host is tragic.
Okay, so on the heels of there was a situation in Cleveland where
You mean Columbus?
Columbus, I knew it was Ohio, but
Well, yeah.
she got the cops basically approached her vehicle, told her she had been accused of shoplifting
Uh-huh.
and to get out the vehicle. She refused numerous of times, about a half a dozen times she refused. One cop remained at the driver's side door, the other one got in front of her. She put the car in gear and the
Uh,
vehicle moved, and the officer shot through the window
uh,
and killed her. She was a pregnant young lady. Um, and
uh,
her grandmother said she was a good person.
uh,
Some people feel as though this was racially motivated, this,
uh,
that, and the third.
uh. Well,
But
I would say that it was racially motivated. These are racially motivated slangs. There are videos of white folk with guns and such literally fist fighting a white officer and their patient with them. They
mhm,
struggle to disarm them when they're armed. Most white officers, most police officers in general, are shot and killed by white men. The majority, upwards of 75, 80% of the people and law enforcement killed are killed by white men, period, or more. That's a vast majority, up over 80%. So this idea of I'm afraid for my life, well, my God, you should be shooting white men in far greater numbers than what you
mm.
do. So you're afraid for life when you're dealing with a black person. Now, I don't know about law enforcement like other people, but there was a way to escalate that. She didn't have to step out of her car. However, she shouldn't have put it in gear. Uh, they shouldn't have come with their guns drawn. It was not that serious. And I wouldn't have gotten in front of a car if I'd had a bazooka. Okay, because you could still get run over. Even if you took out the driver, you could get dragged or killed. The police, on one hand, completely over. I mean, just it's out. It's unconscionably awful the way it was handled. Everything is wrong about it. But the young woman, were it a black male, how many times do you think he'd be asked to get out of the car before they shot? In fact, I think they shot one time. How many times would they have shot black male?
They'd have shot him like he was a firing squad.
Right, over and over. Now, there was a situation in Columbus, Ohio, where it was a black man and a black woman. That there was a backfire engine, whatever you know what it's called, when the engine and the police shot into the car about 140 times, killing both the black man and the black woman, and they didn't really do much to the law enforcement. Same city of Columbus that was under consent decree with the Justice Department. And just to say to you that the police in Ohio throughout are heavy-handed, they're excessive, and that's a fact. But if you grow up in Ohio and you know that the police are, my God, then what role do you have, if possible, to de-escalate a situation? Like, if you didn't want to get out of your car, I wouldn't have fussed with the officers if I could have done that. And I would have also, if I'm carrying a baby, if you want your baby to live and he's got a drawn gun, I don't know all of what's going on there. The officer made some mistakes, like they didn't say that we're detaining you. So if someone just comes up to you with the gun and the badge and doesn't tell you what, that isn't a reason that you can't go. There are things that police are supposed to do. It wasn't done. But having said that, you are a black man. If the police had come up to you, would you have complied even if you felt uncomfortable?
Yes.
I think you're going to say yes. All right. I'm going to say this is off topic, but it's related a lot. And her mother said she was a good person. Mind you, there's no father. Danger signal for me. Yes, it's a danger signal when there's no father there. A lot of our people, male and female, but in this instance, female, there's a difference when you come from an environment with a proper, focused dad, disciplinarian person that has order. Things like listening to people, even when it's not pleasant, that's a little easier than if you're told you don't have to do what nobody says. I'm your mother. You're right. That's great. That's great advice to give to people with trigger-happy racist cops who have a badge and the Fraternal Order of Police and the police union and the media and all of them behind them when they do evil or wrong or they're excessive. Are you understanding me? What do you do when someone's after you, or when you're in a bad situation and everything seems to be to your disadvantage? Do you do something desperate or even stupid? Or do you try something that may not work that's intelligent? In that instance, I'm pregnant with a child. I feel uncomfortable. I need a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't ask a person with a gun, are you going to shoot me? You and I wouldn't dare say that to a law enforcement officer unless we want a suicide by cop, because they sure will shoot you. Somewhere in that, we've already said the police are racist, out of order, did everything wrong. Okay, we're gonna just completely just simp out. I believe the woman. Period. We're gonna do that, but we're gonna come back and say, all right, now that we've agreed the woman was murdered, the baby was murdered, these guys need to be taken off the force. They need to be charged with first-degree murder or second-degree murder. All that we've said. Now, the question is, and my thought is, could she have done anything differently in that situation with these out-of-control cops? And I'll ask you, have you ever dealt with out-of-control people that are police?
I've Dr. Short, on a personal level, I've dealt with this plenty of times.
Right.
And
Did
I've
you
been in the right and in the wrong in both instances.
Did you escalate or did you de-escalate?
De-escalate.
Did you watch what you said to the officer? Didn't give a lot of sudden body movements? Didn't give them a lot of mouth? Didn't say anything? Doesn't make them love you. Doesn't make them any less willing to kill you. But you're alive.
Because Dr. Short, what I find interesting is that since I was a young kid, I was taught to cross the street by myself. It was embedded when you have interactions with the police. Your job is to get home. Your job is to get home safely. Now, that could be subjective on what you're doing and what's the situation. But for me, when I've had those situations arise, even when I was in the wrong, I just did what they said. Now, it could be humiliating to my pride or whatever, but
But you're alive. You're alive. You're alive. Many years ago, 2019, I was working with a youth program, and I was talking to a young woman, and there was, by the way, pork chop feminist. Her name is Miss Patterson. And I was saying, I really lament the death of Sandra Bland. I really remain disturbed at her dying. But I kept thinking as I thought about the camera of her, where the policeman's telling her to not blow smoke in his face or put the cigarette out, and she's still blowing smoke in his face. And I was saying to them, I'm a person super sensitive to cigarette smoke. It really bothers me. In fact, cigarettes can cause you to have a heart attack, in case people don't know it. That's why they don't let you smoke around places hot. You can kill someone with cigarette smoke. People don't know that it's that deadly. Okay, so he's asking her to do it, and she's continuing to defy him in a microaggressive, like, you can't tell me what to do in my car. I'm taking you to Texas. You have a raggedy ass car anyway. Not like you're gonna be able to do any, speed race, Indianapolis 500 getaways with the car you had, Sandra. Why? You don't even know where you are really, and you're alone. Why blow the smoke in his face when he asked you politely and respectfully not to? And I said, I feel like she may have lived, in spite of how pig he was, smoking successfully. There's a young woman listening, this woman named Patterson. I'm tired of listening to you. We want to hear from the youth. That's the thing a lot of asshole black women do when they don't like black men talking. Say, well, we need to hear the youth. And we know damn well when women get power, they don't listen to no youth either. In fact, they're worse than men are. They're more imperious. Sure you are. I don't care who doesn't like what I said. I mean, who are the people in the schools that suppress the kids and force all this garbage? There are very few, in particular, black male teachers or principals. So the fucked up schools, that's a woman's joint. The school to prison pipeline, that's a woman's joint, not a man's joint. And most homes, woman's joint. Just saying. So she just wanted me to say, you know what? Even though I'm the co-host of the program and all that, I'm not going to fuss or fight with one of these imperious asinine women who's a jackass. It's okay, fine. And so she said, I want to hear, so how do you feel? What do you think? She's basically what she wanted to do was get the young woman to disagree with everything I was saying to make me look small for some reason. I don't know what that was about. There are a lot of women that are into this whole toxic castrating bullshit. And we're going to get into how a lot of black women will get the shit kicked out of them in the next 2 to 3 years and thereafter because of this behavior. And it'll be from men and other communities. It'll be from it won't be black men. There'll still be simps begging for pussy like it's going to run out no matter how bad you look.
And then Dr. Short, another thing is we see these type of situations where it may be women in our families, cousins, aunts, sisters, and it's always, I was telling you about a situation I saw in the store the other day. It's always, unfortunately, our women who are so quick to turn it up, as we say, or be trained to go, like always on edge to cuss somebody out.
Or to show someone or to do that, fine. Now, and my story, as I'm going back, and a young woman whose name is Queen, it's interesting. She's sitting there looking, and she proceeds to say, I agree with Dr. Short. I believe that Sandra may have been able to do it 2 or 3 things differently. It may have saved her life. You know what that lady did? She got up and stormed out of the room. She didn't say, I have to leave. I got an urgent meeting. And the lady was trying to make it seem as if I wanted Sandra Bland killed. I justify. No, I'm like, God, you and I, as I said, we've had a situation where what do? These people have weapons, badges, all this stuff. It'll be in their favor if someone shoots you or whatever. How do I get back home alive in one piece? I could be stupid, I can get mad, or I can get alive. And I've always tried to be alive. And we know that the police are faster to shoot a black man than the black woman. So, and they shoot black men all the time, complying. So I'm thinking all these videos, they're in the thousands all over. You see people complying and getting killed. Why would you defy someone with a pointed firearm and you don't have bulletproof vest and you're pregnant? I mean, it's not like you're going to run a 600-meter dash from the cop pregnant. Every way that would say flight isn't a good one if you're thinking. So, yes, they were murdered. Yes, Breonna Taylor was murdered. Yes, a range of these women have been killed by law enforcement all over, and it's going to continue to happen. But in some of these instances, some things could have been handled differently. Defensively. Recognize that maybe they don't just hate black men, but they hate us as a collective, and you've got to be aware. You know, I have relatives in the state of Georgia, and their last name is Turner. And you may have seen the picture of a lynching of a black woman hanging off of a bridge with the dress on, with the rope. I think her name is Mary Turner. I am not certain. I've got to do more research. But, you know, the world's a pretty small place. Just as sure as I was doing genealogical research for a person and told them 2 weeks ago when I heard the last name of their family, said, so your family's from their family's from Northeast Georgia with that name. I could tell you which county they're in. And he didn't know. I said, they're from the same town my grandmother's from, I assure you. So I told him that 1 week, didn't go to the archives for a week, went in Friday, ding, family was from Lincoln County, Georgia, which is what they told him. I've never seen him. I don't know what he looks like, but the name, right? And so a name like Turner could. You see what I'm saying? We are closer into each other than what we ever imagined. And some of the lessons of how people can get out of bad situations needs to be more commonplace, and it needs to be applied across the sexes. It's not just a black male problem. A policeman will beat and shoot a black woman. And that segues to my last comment on this case. And that is, had they come from an environment where you're not so given to dismissing anything that anyone male says. You might have been able, as I've seen women do with speeding tickets and everything else, sweet talk your way out of a very bad situation. If women could talk themselves out of difficult situations with the Klan and all this stuff hundreds of years ago, you can't tell me that one can't use feminine wit, wisdom, and wiles today. I'm not saying that you want to give it to someone that you don't like in another group, but hell, if you care about that baby forming inside you and the other babies that you have, and you need to get home, and let's say that their fathers ain't no goddamn good, the kind of stuff we always hear, then you're all they have. Was it worth mouthing off at the fascistic police academy Tackleberry wannabes? And even if they win 20, 30, 40 million dollars, it's never going to make up for kids losing their mother. Her mother said she was a good person. I'm not saying she wasn't. But you know, also, if your car has no tags, why you drive without tags? I see a lot of people who have temporary tags. They're the craziest drivers. I know you've seen it.
I came through Dr. Short about it's 2023, early 2018. I'm coming through, traveling. So I get back in. I pass the state police. They jump out. It's about 11:30 in the morning. They jump out, pull me over. It's 2 state police officers. So they asked me where I was coming from. I said, I just came from seeing a relative that was in the hospital. I still had the hospital pass. I had a bunch of bags in the front. They asked me for license, registration, all that stuff, arrest history and all that stuff. So I was able to give them everything that I knew and my history and all this stuff. So one cop went and ran my license and everything. So the other cop left with him, but he doubled back. And I'm looking at him in the mirror, seeing him double back. So he says to me, after he goes to the car, though, he says, well, why did you lie to my partner? I said, I didn't lie to your partner. I said, I told him everything that he asked me, and I actually gave him dates on certain things. So he said, okay, just sit tight for a minute. They come back with my license, registration, insurance, and they gave me a ticket because I had still had, when you mentioned the templates, I had still had the template on my truck, even though I had the license plate. I had never went in the back of the truck and took the temp out of the window. So they gave me this ticket, was like a warning. They gave my stuff, Dr. Short, and I just left. Now, I could have argued with them about the template because he said it was in the wrong spot, which I could have easily said, how's it in the wrong spot? It's the way it's always been. And this is where they put it, the top left-hand corner. This is before they started putting it on where the regular plate goes. So I say that because someone in the chat, and you said it, do we know how to de-escalate situations? I really don't think most people know how to de-escalate situations. I think most people, when they socialize with other people, all they know how to do is turn it up, be trained to go off, act indigent and crazy and all this other stuff. And I'm a pretty big guy, Dr. Short. So I know that I could appear to be intimidating, definitely dealing with law enforcement. So I don't know. You guys in the chat, we didn't want to prolong this conversation that we're having, but we wanted to use this example because we see that a lot of our women, unfortunately, after you get killed, there's nothing you can do. There's no de-escalation. These kids is about to grow up without their mother. She had 2 kids on top of being pregnant at the time. So, as you were saying, Dr. Short. I don't know why I can't hear you. Hold on, you guys. I tell you, the YouTube be trying to really hurt our shows, because sometimes I lose Dr. Short's audio for no reason, which is weird.
So,
yeah, I hear you.
I'm just saying to you that we hear all this black girl magic and celebration, but we see all these health disparities, issues of obesity, type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes, suicide, mental health challenges, and yet all this celebration. It's not true. It truly isn't true. And we all have work to do. Everybody. There are people who say, oh, well, they're the best educated demographic in the country. Well, I don't see that education used in mate selection. I don't see it in selecting mortgages for a home. I don't see it in terms of diet and fitness. I don't see it in the academic attainment of the children. So I call it black girl tragic. And we're all in a tragic situation, and we are best together, damned separate. And I'm just looking at this wonderful flyer that you put together, and you've got Simone Sanders looking like Magic Johnson's son, Keisha Lance Bottoms, crooked former mayor of Atlanta. You've got no good Fannie Willis, who's going to be taken down for messing with Trump over some BS. She's involved in as much, if not more, legal fraud around elections and money, messing with campaign funds than Donald Trump. You've got bald-headed Ayanna Pressley, who basically looks like a transracial, transgender Kojak. And you know, if your wife were bald-headed in public, you probably wouldn't be that intimate. I'm wondering what's going on with her and her husband. And who is this stud up in the corner, left-hand corner?
Because I can't see. Stacey Abrams.
Oh, yes, Gacy Abrams. And there are others, these so-called symbols of black girl magic that are really tragic, buffoonish, stupid characters that are taking us down. You know, and a lot of them.
They touted those 4 out to us a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. Simone Sanders, Stacey, Ayala Presley, and Keisha Bottoms. And then when Keisha left, Fannie jumped on the scene.
Yeah, well, Keisha left under a cloud. Simone Sanders, after selling all the bullshit soap for Biden, she couldn't even hang with crazy ass Kamala Harris. Gacy made black men angry, and that's why she lost. So that's a major pork chop down. You see, black men are tired. It doesn't matter. And I would just say this to a second to all the fucked up good black women out there. You guys are fucked up because you guys got to yoke your sisters. They don't listen to black men. People like Kevin Samuels, whom you hate, but he was a giant. will always be a giant. We'll keep saying, Kevin Samuels is sort of like I don't know, a savior to the Black family if the people would listen to him. But folks don't want to hear the truth. Basically, the implication is, I have a vagina and I can lock you out of this if you mouth off to me. They treat it like it's a payroll. And of course, everyone would like to be on it, but everybody doesn't show up for work. And not everybody is an employee that will do what you want, even if you're paying them well. And we can't assume work without being paid. So if you're not with that person as their woman and him your man, stop expecting extra special treatment. It's really not logical. It's really not. It's kind of dumb. And just because we have a lot of simps in our community, a lot of whom get herpes and all, when they're just taking the sloppy seconds of the guys you really like, it's getting around. Have you ever seen anybody with herpes or monkeypox all in their face? Because they mess with. And the girl won't, if she thinks it's funny for you to have another dude's semen in your mouth after she didn't even douche after that. And some dude thinks he's first because he's a simp. They don't respect you. And I need to say for the Black men that being a simp, it's not respectful. It's pathetic. It's a joke. I've seen Black women reject model quality brothers and go out with the ugliest white or Latino or Asian dude, a total dork or dweeb, what's the other word, nerd, and go out with them and tell the brother who's high quality that he's no good. Or go out even better with the stud that's uglier and greasier than the dirtiest man, and who has on truck driver pants so you can see the top of the crack of their ass. And they'll go out with a woman that looks like that before they would a guy that looks like Shamar Moore or some other type person, Tyrese or someone. They'll go out with a bad-looking woman, a woman that looks like 10 times harder than Simone Sanders, or a really gruesome person, Shirley Chisholm.
For all the women that may be listening to the show, y'all know when some of these men are pandering to y'all and don't want to call y'all out on y'all bullshit because, as Dr. Short said, y'all will lock them out of sex.
Yeah, he wants to get a Scooby snack.
So because you locked him out of sex, now he's pandering to you, and you totally in the wrong. And it's a ha he a game that a lot of women play. But the reality is that Black men and Black women need each other in this fight, like Dr. Short said, and we can't get to where we're trying to get to without each other. But the minute that you're called out on your stuff, you don't want to be accountable.
And they can go and take advantage and fly off the handle and be a pepperhead or harsh or strike people and do all this other kind of stuff. That only works in simp zones in Black America, where the Black man is always begging like the world's going to run out of cooch. Take that same vagina and put it in a white, Latino, or Asian Pacific area and be disrespectful. No one will pander to you. In fact, you might get your head knocked in. And I would suspect that this Kroger store was in a white area in Columbus. And this lady took her goods, her wares, to an area where she wouldn't get extra sensitive special. Please just give me some one day baby treatment. And she goes home in a body bag.
The sister, for lack of better words, Dr. Short, when they accused her of stealing, she should have turned into a full-fledged Karen and went crazy and then sued the store. Y'all accusing me of this? She should have put on the scene.
In fact, she should have been, but instead she took it out, and it's interesting. It's probably a white female that accused her, and that's another dimension to our problem. I've noticed that women find it easier to get angry and blame men for things that they couldn't possibly be responsible for, because it's safe to hate men. Male hatred, in particular in the Black community, is almost sort of like double Dutch for little girls is replaced by man hating for grown women. Because the police they don't know. They're following what that lady told them probably. But she's tripping on the police. The police they're doing their job inappropriately, but they're doing their job. So they're roped into this. The smartest thing could have been, if they hadn't stolen anything, was to demand to face these people. Stores get sued all the time. In fact, imagine she would have had a much better life had she sued them.
For those in the chat, most of y'all don't know. I'm gonna give y'all a tip on something. When y'all go to Walmart, if anybody shops at Walmart, then people are not supposed to ask you to see your receipt. So when they ask you to see your receipt, if you choose to cause a scene and be like, no, I need to see a store manager, go for it, because they're not supposed to ask you to see your receipt. That's not their job. They're not loss in prevention. They're a greeter. It's a big difference. Now, I don't know that because I don't work at Walmart, but I know what I'm talking about. So just be mindful. Like, we see the videos all the time where these Karens turn up and make a scene. It's ways that you can make a scene, preserving your life. And if they want to accuse you of stealing or doing something, you might get a check out the deal.
It happens. It happens every day. It happens every day, and it's important. A Black girl tragic. We've got to do something different. We have to change the way we're doing business, ladies. Black men, you don't make a woman better lying to her when she weighs 900 pounds, telling her how sexy she is, when the only drawers she can find came off the Statue of Liberty. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And, I can stop here, but I just want to go back and just emphasize that Fannie Willis is under investigation. And that means that no good prosecutor, the one in New York, the male, Bragg, who I call, I won't tell you what I call him. These types of people, the head of the Chicago Teachers Union, whose children are in private school, but is blocking other people from going to private school. All of this corruption that we're seeing, under the guise of the women being smarter, craftier, sharper, and above it all, that's all a big white supremacist manipulation. And they're about to knock the chairs off that table, and it's going to hit the floor. Act Blue, which has been collecting money unlawfully. There are all kinds of people that run for office, male and female, all kinds of people involved, a lot of them in the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. There's some mediocre woman that's won the mayoralty of Philadelphia that's a Delta Sigma Theta. You're going to see a critical eye, a microscope of condemnation, put Black women on the slide and give them a close-up look like that's never happened. And I don't think everybody can handle it. There's going to have to be a discussion. It's the same way Tucker Carlson is going to interview the brother of Obama, and it'll come out. There'll be new questions about Michelle Obama. There's a lot of things that people feel so proud of, and strong this and she's great that. it's not going to be so funny. I'd say in less than 6 months, you're going to see a trend to point a finger of condemnation at Black women like you have never seen in our country's history. It's coming. And part of it is because of the lack of accountability, responsibility, transparency, and an openness to even hear another side. That impunity, that lack of accountability and lack of responsibility, sisters, it's over. And you're going to see weeping and gnashing of teeth. That's my message. What's yours?
I had a young lady in one of the shows we did where she commented and she said it's our time.
It is. She's right. It is her time to catch hell.
My message to Black women, I'm begging y'all, stop trying to be the face of this stuff. Stop trying to put yourself in the forefront, not thinking brothers don't want to fight or brothers ain't got no fight in them. What y'all doing is putting not only Black men in jeopardy, but you're putting yourselves in direct jeopardy of a fight that we don't even have nothing to do with. Mm-hmm. Stop being the face of what these people got going on that definitely don't have nothing to do with you and I.
That's right.
With that,
right.
We're going to close out. Any final words, Dr. Short?
Yeah, we're going to close. Yes. We want everybody to like this program. We want everyone to like Let's Talk too. We want you to share the channel. We also want you to be aware that we're a partnership. As soon as we have a date, it'll be definitely this month, we're going to be launching the Angry Black Men's Book Club and other such programming, some of which you'll be able to see through Talk 2, as I shared with our brother here. We would love your participation. And I also want to remind everyone, donate. My Cash App is Dr. Randy Short, DrRandysHort. Again, Dr. Randy Short, DrRandysHort. Zelle and PayPal, which is also a personal email if you have a question that I'm able to answer, is wrandyshort@gmail.com. wrandyshort@gmail.com. I will be with others putting out program on Black books of all sorts, as well as topics, even if the author isn't Black. That would be called the Angry Black Men Book Club. We'll be putting that out over Rumble, YouTube, Venmo, Facebook, and I think Instagram and Twitter, if it's possible to get those connected. I think there is. I've looked at that. And we're going to have your host, one and over Brother Q, or as I say, Brother Dome, to have him come and participate as we take on all sorts of subjects, books, topics, and ideas in collaboration with Let's Talk, not competition. And your participation's appreciated. Again, Dr. Randy Short. As well, bless this channel. In fact, subscribe and like it. Even if it's painful, whereas other people are just screaming and complaining and telling you we've got to change how we do our affairs. So I'm signing off for this program. God bless and good night. Yeah.